We are less than 2 weeks away from Dustin Poirier's retirement fight, and this is one of those matchups here where you love it and hate it at the same time. You love it because you know this fight is going to deliver. It's going to be a war between two of the highest level fighters, two of the most entertaining and beloved fighters in MMA. But you hate it because one of these dudes is actually going to have to lose. Like, I don't want to see Dustin Poirier lose in his retirement fight. I don't want to see Holloway lose back-to-back fights, especially like now that he's committed to being up at 155. But in this video, I'm going to be breaking down this matchup, going to be giving my winner pick at the end. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Drop your prediction. Who do you think wins? How do they get it done down below in the comments? But let's start off by talking about the guy who will be retiring after this fight, Dustin Poirier. Just looking at his measurables, 5'9", 73-inch reach, 36 years old. He is a right-handed southpaw, so he does have a really dangerous lead hand, really impressive stinging jab, very, very powerful right hook. Saw him drop Benoit Saint-Denis with that punch. He throws extremely well in combination, great finishing instincts, kind of like controlled aggression where he will unload on some super long combos, but for the most part, he stays pretty safe. And then if he just gets you backed up against the fence, especially if you are on wobbly legs, he is just going to unload on you. Super dangerous in those situations. Not going to be super kick heavy. Got pretty tight hips for like a high level MMA fighter. He'll occasionally mix in some leg kicks. Did actually go to the head a decent amount against Justin Gaethje, but I think that was more of a matchup thing because Gaethje does dip pretty heavy to that right side. Was trying to catch him there with either a high kick or that left knee. And then on the feet, in terms of his striking, his boxing, he's certainly not quick. Like, you wouldn't view him as like super fast, super quick, but he's very accurate. And if he does connect, he is very, very powerful. He's so experienced versus elite competition, 22-8 record in the UFC. He finished 15 of those 22 UFC wins, and he is accustomed to getting in these dogfights, accustomed to getting into these wars. I know he was knocked out badly by Justin Gaethje, but he has still showcased some really impressive durability. He's only been dropped 3 times in the UFC, which is insane when you consider his quality of competition. Like, he's fought Conor McGregor 3 times, Gaethje twice, Eddie Alvarez twice, Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker, Anthony Pettis, Holloway twice, the Korean Zombie, and to only hit the deck 3 times, that is pretty insane. And then I'd say he has capable grappling. Like, we have seen him against strikers, especially Conor McGregor. He tried to shoot early on, did land a couple of takedowns, in those, second and third fights, but I don't really see him using those grappling skills in this fight. Like, he submitted Max Holloway in their initial matchup, but he's talked about how he wants this to be a war. He wants to go out with a bang. I'd be pretty surprised if he goes out and tries to wrestle Max Holloway in this matchup. Now let's look at Max Holloway here, the guy trying to come in and spoil the show. 5'11", 69-inch reach, 33 years old. It's insane that he's still only 33. Like, a lot of dudes are hitting their prime at that point, and Max Holloway's already been fighting at the highest level for so long. As a striker, Max Holloway definitely has a much more diverse style. He also has a very active lead hand, and I really like the way it's kind of improved after that first Volkanovski loss. He was super heavy on his front foot, super heavy with the jab, and Volk was just able to counter with leg kicks, really destroyed him to the legs in that first fight. He evolved, started to be a little bit lighter on that front foot. He would feint the jab a lot more, also kind of established that slapping lead hook that he throws out there. So both guys do have, a nice lead hand. Dustin's definitely more landing it for power. Max Holloway using it more to set up some bigger shots with the hands or to set up some of his kicks that I do think he's going to have the edge in this fight. Holloway's going to throw all kinds of kicks. He'll go to the head with his back leg or his lead leg. He'll throw teeps. He'll throw the spinning attacks. We saw that be super effective in his fight against Justin Gaethje. Like I mentioned, he had kind of been susceptible to getting beat up to the legs. I don't see that being a huge problem for him in this matchup. First, I do think he's gotten better at defending it. I know Gaethje was able to attack the legs a little bit, but Gaethje is one of the best leg kickers the UFC's ever seen, and his legs were still fine in that 5th round. Dustin Poirier nowhere near as dangerous at attacking the legs compared to a guy like Justin Gaethje. So it has been an issue. Don't see that playing a huge factor in this fight. I think Max Holloway does a great job blending his punches and kicks together in combination. We know he just has that insane cardio, can put together some insane volume. He has the most significant strikes in the UFC by over 1,200. And then he also has the record by far for most significant strikes in a fight at 445. I want to say he's also second in that category with his fight against Ortega. And then even against like some bigger punchers, right? Like if some dudes you don't really respect the power coming back at you, you can obviously be more active. In that Justin Gaethje fight, someone who hits very hard, very dangerous on the feet, Holloway still landed 181 significant strikes. So like over 30 a round against that kind of competition, that kind of power coming back at you. Very, very impressive. Now, this is going to be the trilogy. And so I kind of want to talk about what I think we can take away, if anything, from those first two initial fights. And to be honest, I'm just going to throw out the first fight between these two. Like Max Holloway was 20 years old. Dustin Poirier was 23. It was so long ago. Like I don't think anything that happened in that fight is going to have any bearing on this third fight here. I will kind of talk about the second matchup. I do think it's a little bit more competitive than some people remember. I'm not saying I would have scored it for Max, but like it wouldn't be insane to have a 48-47 Holloway scorecard. Now, maybe that's some sort of issue with the criteria because like if you scored it as a whole, you'd be like, oh yeah, Dustin definitely won that fight. But from a round by round perspective, like it certainly wasn't a blowout in Dustin Poirier's favor. I think the main thing that really stood out in that first fight was just the power advantage for Dustin Poirier. Like in terms of significant strikes, Max Holloway actually outlanded Dustin, but Dustin's shots were just so much more impactful. He was the one that was stinging, kind of hurting Max Holloway on the feet, and the shots just didn't have the same effect coming back from Max Holloway. I think today Max Holloway is a much different fighter than the guy we saw take on Dustin in that second matchup. I think he's become a lot less reliant on his durability. He's a lot lighter on the feet. He's less willing to just eat shots to return them. Like that was kind of his style. Like he would take damage. You look at those Jose Aldo fights, all those landing in those first couple of rounds, Holloway's just eating it, and he knows that his chin is going to hold up and he is going to have better cardio than Jose, and that's where he's going to pull away. I don't think Max Holloway goes out there and fights in a similar way at this point in his career. He's also committed to 155, where that second fight that took place, like he was still the champ at 145, wasn't like he was leaping up to 155 to stay. It seems like that is where he's at right now. And then we've seen Max Holloway put together a super impressive performance up at 155 against Justin Gaethje. I think something that kind of gets forgotten about in that Justin Gaethje fight was that Max Holloway stung him and hurt him at least a couple of times before that knockout. Like obviously he put him out cold, but it's a very unique situation where both dudes are just like winging punches. That's not indicative of someone's just like natural like knockout, I guess, power or ability in a normal fight, right? You're just like winging huge hooks. Either dude could have knocked the other one out cold. But even before that, like he was still stinging Justin Gaethje. And so the power's translating a little bit, at least in that Gaethje matchup, up to 155. Now, I still think Dustin's going to have the power advantage, but I don't think this is a spot where like one dude can drop or hurt the other one and Holloway's just going to be out there with pillow fists. Like Holloway could sting, could drop, could potentially knock out Dustin Poirier in this matchup. And then I want to look at both these guys' last fight. So they're both coming off of losses in title matchups. Dustin Poirier losing to Islam Makhachev, Max Holloway losing to Ilia Topuria. And I think both guys actually had pretty solid performances like up until they got finished. For Dustin Poirier, I think his grappling was a lot better than expected. I will say in that Islam Makhachev matchup, on the feet, I think we might have seen Dustin Poirier's reaction time kind of slowing down. It's tough to say officially, though, because he had to be so worried about the takedowns where, like, he doesn't have to worry about that threat against Max Holloway, so maybe that's what led to him kind of getting hit a little bit more on the feet. Something to, think about there, though. And then for Max Holloway, I think of Ilia's 3 title fights against, obviously, super elite competition, I do think Holloway did the best. I mean, first off, he lasted the longest into round 3, but he was actually landing some decent shots on Ilia. Like, Volk was landing some stuff, but there was nothing really stinging Ilya. Holloway did get some good shots in there, obviously then gets finished. And then I think some people could point to like the durability of Max Holloway, where like, did we finally see his chin crack? And obviously it's not great that he's coming off his first knockout loss, but when you look at the shots that Ilya landed, I really don't feel all that, worried about Max Holloway's chin. Like, we saw him just completely nuke Charles Oliveira. Now, obviously, Oliveira was kind of coming into that straight from Ilya, whereas Holloway was moving away, but still, like, I think anyone that gets hit with those shots from Ilya Topuria is going to go down. And he survived an initial big shot and then got finished, with a left hook a little bit later on. And so here's my prediction here. I think this is going to be a very competitive fight. I think it's going to be close. I think the margins are going to be, pretty small in this matchup. Both these guys are super high level. Both are battle tested. Both have great cardio. I am slightly leaning towards Max Holloway at this point. I think he has more tools on the feet. I think he's going to have the ability to get in, get out, kind of outpoint Dustin. And I do think we're going to see a difference from that second fight where, like I talked about, like, Max Holloway, if he sits down on his punches, can have some sting. I was really just so impressed with that Justin Gaethje fight. Like, people thought Gaethje was going to be too big, too powerful. The leg kicks were going to mess with him. And Holloway, put together a clinic in that fight. And I know this is MMA math, right? Like, this is not the reason for the pick. But you look at that Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje fight, I don't even care about the finish. Just like even before the finish, the first 6 minutes, they were pretty much going 50-50 back and forth. And then Holloway just went in there and, like I said, put together a super impressive performance against Justin Gaethje. Would I like it if Holloway took an extra month or two to come back from that KO loss? 8 months is all right. I'd probably rather him take, 10 months to a year off, but I think the chin will be fine. Like I said, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be competitive. I just think Holloway's going to be able to get in, get out, land his kicks, have some success with the hands, and I think he is going to beat Dustin Poirier here. Now, if Poirier went out on a high note, I would certainly not be upset. I'll be happy if either of these dudes win, but Max Holloway by decision is going to be the pick. Could he find a finish? Sure. I think a decision is a lot more likely. But let me know your thoughts. You riding with Dustin for the retirement? You think Max Holloway is going to spoil the party? Let me hear it down below. But thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.